Hello. Welcome back to another Bible lesson or church school lesson. We're glad to have you. We appreciate you stopping by to hear and see just what I'm talking about. But before we begin, allow me just a moment to ask God to bless us as we study this lesson together. Dear Lord, here we are once again studying this lesson and sharing it with others. Now, Lord, I ask, would you please remove me from myself and you do the teaching? We are a hungry word for you, a hungry world for your word. So, Lord, please fill us today. And then, Lord, I ask a special blessing upon the bereaved and sick all over this world. Please, Lord, have mercy on us all. And Lord, I ask, will you please bless those that will take the time and look and listen to this video of this lesson. Please, Lord, and in thy Son Jesus Christ's name, amen. Well, like I said, we're back. So go get your coffee and your tea or your cool glass of water or Kool-Aid or whatever you like to have to sip on as you study the lesson. And we are get right into it. Now, we got another great lesson, and so that I don't hold you too long, let's just switch over and see what we'll be studying on today. All right, as you can see, we're still talking about God is all that. And we're still in Unit 2. God is all knowing. This is lesson number 7, and we're studying out of the Union Gospel Press book. This is the fall quarter of the month of October 2025. And our lesson topic is God sees Nathanael. And we're studying out of the Gospel of John, the first chapter, verse 43 through 51. And it says the time is AD 26 and 30, and the place is east of Jordan. Our golden text, and this is the New Living Translation, and it reads, "How do you know about me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus replied, "I could see you under the fig tree before Philip found you." Now, the King James reads like this: Nathanael said unto him, "Whence knowest thou me?" Jesus answered and said unto him, "Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee." Our lesson consists of 3 outlines. The first one is Philip. Jesus calls Philip's, and that's verse 43 and 44. The second outline is Philip invites Nathanael, verse 45 and 46. And the third outline is Jesus and Nathanael, and that's 47 through 51. Now, as I said, our lesson, as we can see, our topic is Jesus sees Nathanael. And before we get into our lesson, let's do a little background, because our lesson consists of 3 characters here: Jesus, Philip, and Nathanael. Now, Jesus was John the Baptist had started preaching and teaching about the one that was coming after him. And this is where John opens up at the beginning of John the Baptist preaching and teaching about the one coming. And if you go to the first chapter, the first verse and first chapter, you can find all of this. And there was 2 people as Jesus was coming along that he saw, and it was Andrew and Simon, and he just told them to come and follow me. And if you notice that in his calling, Jesus did not go to the school of well-trained Bible of the law studies and all that, those with higher education and more knowledge of the Mosaic law. No, Jesus chose ordinary, plain men that other people would have considered unqualified to be teaching about the laws and the gospel. Here we see Jesus did not go in and try to go and pick the most highly educated people, because he could have. But now Jesus really didn't need the well overdue educators, because he is the educator. He knows more about what was going to happen and when people were going to reject him. So he is the teacher. And when he told Simon, Peter, and Andrew, all he said was, just come follow me. And as they were walking along, Jesus noticed that, hey, he asked him, he said, where are these people going? Who are these people? And he asked that of Andrew and Simon Peter, because, everywhere you went, it was a crowd going, and people were threatening his life and wanted to kill him. And mostly it was the Jewish leaders that wanted him dead. So as they were walking along, he came upon the people in our lesson today, which is Philip. And when Philip joined in and was following them, and all Jesus said, he offered Philip a personal invitation to follow him. And this is where our lesson picks up, where he's accepting Philip, and he's just telling him to come on. And he was, as we're going to see some incidents of when Jesus really calls a person and how he calls this person. So let's look over at our first outline. And as you can see, this our outline is about Jesus calls Philip. Now, this is 1 John verse 43 and 44. And it reads, and again, this is the New Living Translation. And it says, the next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, look at this, come, follow me. Philip was from Bethsaida, Andrew and Peter's hometown. Now, as we can see, our lesson this starts out with two outlines, and it's talking about how he called Philip. And a lot went on in just these two verses. First of all, this was not a big and loud announcement. It was simply two words: follow me. Just two little things: follow me, or follow as a disciple. This is how Jesus called people out. He didn't hold no big party. He didn't go through no resumes. He didn't get information from other people sending him leaders like a lot of our churches or organizations are started. There will be someone that's not really part of it, but they'll say, I know somebody that will be a good leader with you in this. No, Jesus was walking and teaching and explaining things to people, and these men were following him. And like I said, when he said he wanted to go to Galilee, well, those that were with him really didn't want him to go to Galilee, because there was a threat on Jesus's life. Just in this little short time, anytime someone is doing well and they're succeeding and they're doing the work of the Lord, there will be those that want to shut them up, want to cut them down. If they don't do it, they don't attack them physically, but they'll use their mouth. And when old people used to say, don't put your mouth on the preacher. No, let God handle that. And in this case, they wanted those Pharisees and religious and the Jewish leaders wanted to get rid of him. But if we look at this word follow me, it's a verb. It will be used in its full sense of follow as a disciple. This is what he's telling us. The present tense has continuous forces. He says, keep on following me. That's what this follow me refers to. Now, when I mentioned this town of Bethsaida, it was the hometown of Andrew and Peter. And it was letting them know that he was going from different town to town. No one flew him in. He didn't take up lodging in a fine hotel, but they was given this so you could see the location where Jesus was going. And that's where he's going right now. And he's going on. He did not let them discourage him from going his appointed route, because Jesus knew he had work to do. So now we see where he had already offered it to Andrew and Simon Peter. He had already invited them, and of course they went right on. They didn't ask how much we gonna make, none of that. And when as we gonna see, Philip he was so overtaken with it, he accepted it, and Philip didn't even have no idea of the cost of this, but he followed him. So I'm trying to stress the emphasis on when Christ touches your life, the Holy Spirit now will touch us. Are you willing to just follow him? Are you looking for something else? Are you gonna only follow if he keeps giving you something? Or will you be following Christ because you've had a change of heart and mind, and you know it was only the Lord Jesus Christ? Okay, now let's look over and see our next outline. Okay, as you can see, now here's Philip. Philip invites Nathanael, and this is verse 45 through 46, I believe. Yeah, and it reads, as Philip went to look for Nathanael and told him, we have found the very person Moses and the prophets wrote about. His name is Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth. Now listen at this. Nazareth, exclaimed Nathanael, can any good come from Nazareth? Listen what Philip did. He said, come and see for yourself, Philip replied. Now, as we can see in our lesson, Philip was so excited. His soul had been touched by what he heard and what he saw. He was so excited he went to get his friend Nathanael. Now, Nathanael and Philip were close friends, and so he was so excited. Have you ever been excited about something that the Lord has done for you, that you want your friends in on it, you want to share it with them? In this case, he went to his friend Nathanael. Now, Nathanael was, I would say, he was a religious man himself, and Philip knew this. So after his personal experience, he didn't even hesitate. He just went right along and told him to come. And like it says, and then Philip went and looked for Nathanael. And listen, and told him, we have found the very person that Moses and the prophets had talked about. And he said, his name is Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth. Now, Nathanael being, he was prejudiced of considering the city of Nazareth. He felt like, well, nobody no good from that. You know, a lot of time our prejudice are just based on jealousy. We living in a day and time now where prejudice is just open. They don't care no more. They just doing it because they're jealous. They're jealous of the success that someone else might have had of a different skin color. They are prejudiced upon just seeing people that they've tried to crush down in today's prejudice. In here, Nathanael he's showing his prejudice when he asks that question, when he questions Nazareth. No, anybody, people from Nazareth are nobodies. They are the lowest of the low. We should be very careful when we judge people on the color of their skin, or the country that they might have come from, or just the idea that we consider ourselves better than them. No, Jesus didn't do that, as we see in our lesson. And so when Nathanael was saying that, look, in other words, Philip gave Nathanael a personal testimony and a witness of Jesus Christ. He didn't hesitate. Like I said, when you know God has touched your life and Jesus has changed your way of thinking, do you go share that with others? He says, he told Nathanael that he is the Messiah and the Savior that was spoken about in the Old Testament. He's letting him know all of this. He didn't hesitate. He's telling him, he's letting him know. Nathanael got a personal testimony from Philip. And then when he responded, he did. They were friends, y'all. This wasn't Nathaniel wasn't a stranger. This was one of Philip's homeboys, as they say today. He was one of his running buddies. They didn't have no problem. They could get along and do everything. But when Philip had a life-changing experience and he witnessed the Son of God, guess what? He wanted his friend to know. He ran straight to go get his friend because he was in that area. And then when Nathanael answered Philip's request was a prejudiced response based on where Jesus' hometown was. Now, Jesus really wasn't a Nazarite because he was born in Bethlehem, but his family was from Nazareth. And when he was born, y'all know they went back home. Listen, then Philip didn't even try to argue with him. All he said was, come on, let's just see. Come see for yourself. He didn't try to browbeat him. He did not try to tell him the things that Christ had already did or what he said. He just said, come and see. Come. In other words, okay, man, you feel like that and I know it, but I just want you to come and see for yourself who this man Jesus really is. Don't look at him based on where he come from. It's just like people today. If we don't drive a certain car, people will look down on us. We look down on people that have a different dialect than us. Prejudiced people, and we know this because we living in a country that was founded and succeeded on the backs of slaves of prejudice. But in this case, he knew it, but he was still his friend. So what he do? He told him to come on, just come and see. And then as we gonna see, he let him know that. So Nathaniel said, "Okay, well, he just decided, well, let me go see so I can Philip will stop talking about this man from Nazareth, because he thinking in his head all along, these Nazarites ain't nothing. I don't need to go see him. Who they think they are? Oh, but wait, Nathaniel is gonna have a rude awakening when he gets his gets in the presence of Jesus himself. So let's switch over and look at that. And this is our the last outline. And look what it says. Jesus. Now we're talking about Jesus and Nathanael. And it reads, verse 47. And as they approached, Jesus said, now here is a genuine son of Israel, a man of complete integrity. And I believe the King James says that he is a man. And Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him and said to him, behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom no guile. And another reading I found where it said no deceit. In verse 48, how do you know about me? Nathanael asked Jesus. And then Jesus replied, I could see you under the fig tree before Philip found you. Then Nathanael exclaimed, Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. Verse 50, Jesus asked him, do you believe this just because I told you I had seen you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than this. Then he said, I tell you the truth. You will see heaven open and the angels of God going up and down on the Son of Man, the one who is the stairway between heaven and earth. Now, as I said, you see now here's Nathaniel. Now, Nathaniel is a racist, prejudiced man. He really don't want to, he don't think there's much out of this Jesus that can be said. But guess what? Then when we see him, look, when he's approaching, as our first verse 47 says, and as they approach, Jesus said, now Jesus telling them other fellows that he had told them to come follow me. Look, he says, now here is a genuine Israelite, a man completely integrity. And like I said, King James says of guile, and I read somewhere else where it said, I think it's the King James said that no deceit. In other words, Jesus is telling these other men standing around, you see this man coming here named Nathanael? Guess what? He's a real Israelite. And Israelites, what he was saying was what he believed and where he came from. And he says he's not a crooked man. Now, everybody that was Israelite wasn't upright and a righteous man. There are crooked people in every walk of life. There are people that will sell you a bag of beans and tell you that they're going to turn to gold. But in this case, he's letting the others around him see that Nathanael, he is an upright person. And he's letting them know this man is full of integrity. In other words, he's a smart man. He really, even though Nathanael had the opposite view of Jesus, look at the view Jesus saw and knew in Nathanael. He did not hold it against Nathanael that he was prejudiced or racist. No, he could see the good in Nathanael. Then listen, as he approaches, Nathanael asks a question. How do you know me? See, Nathanael had never seen Jesus. He heard of him because he knew he was from Nazareth, but he didn't actually place eyes on Jesus. And he says, that's what he asked Jesus. How you know me? Then listen how Jesus replied. I could see you under the fig tree before Philip found you. Now, when we see this reference about a fig tree, it's almost like a metaphor, but then people would rest under a shady fig tree. But as an Israelite, he was talking about he could see Nathanael doing his meditation time. That's with the fig tree, what is talking about, that he could see that this man, he knew Nathanael spent time in prayer and on the scriptures. He knew this, and he let Nathanael know, I saw you under the fig tree. Now, like I said, the fig tree is a place of meditation and prayer and to receive spiritual guidance. See, Nathanael was a upright man. He was a man of integrity, and he took the Mosaic laws serious, and he knew that he took time out on a daily basis or either a weekly basis. He would sit under what they say under the fig tree, and that's a representation of a time to meditate. Now, Jesus already knows everything about everybody, and he knew that this man, even though, like I said, he was a racist man, but he still was an upright man. And now here Nathanael gives a testimony of Jesus as when he goes down and he says, and then Nathanael explained, Rabbi. Rabbi means teachers. He is telling him, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. How quickly his attitude towards Jesus shifts when Jesus told him, I saw you before Philip found you. In other words, I knew you before you and Philip became buddies. Just like he knows me, he knows you. Even before you actually came to the Lord, he knew you. And he says, you are the King of the Jews. In that time, when Nathanael said that, he's giving his testimony of Jesus as the Son of God, the King of Israel. See how he has a testimony now, like Philip gave a testimony to Nathanael. Now here's Nathanael giving a testimony to the one that makes the testimonies. And then he says, look what he says. And Jesus, he says, Jesus asked him, do you believe this just because I told you I had seen you under the fig tree? He says, guess what he did? Well, you're going to see greater things than this. In other words, just because you see me in person and I'm telling you things about yourself that you didn't know, no one else knew, Jesus knows it. He's letting him know you're going to see greater things than just me telling about I knew you under the fig tree. No, you're getting, since you are a follower and you are a true believer, look what he says. And then he says, look, then he says, I tell you the truth. This is Jesus talking to Nathanael. You will see heaven open and the angels of God going up and down on the Son of Man. Then now let's pause right there. This is also found in Genesis when Jacob dreamed and he saw this. Remember, Jacob saw, and that's Genesis 23 and 12. This is the same information that Jacob saw, a ladder of the angels going up and down, the angels of God. In this case, uh, Jesus tells Nathanael, you're going to see this. You're going to see heaven open. Now, that does not literally mean angels with wings flopping around, going back and forth. What he's talking about, he says that he's going to see this, and it's going to be, you're going to witness things that only heaven will be in control of. Jesus promised Nathanael a greater sign than he had already seen before. He will see heaven open, angels of God. That's what the New King James says. Going up and coming down, ascended and descended upon the Son of Man. Now, this what he said, like Jacob was talking about the ladder. Guess who the ladder is here? That Jesus is talking to Nathanael about. Jesus is the ladder. Jesus is the goat, is the bridge from earth to heaven. If it wasn't for Jesus going, being the gap, filling in the gap for us sinful people, we wouldn't be where we are today. We would not be having another chance at life and living it abundantly and having God to forgive us of our sins. And then he says, who is the one who is the stairway between heaven and earth? Jacob said it was a ladder. Here, Jesus in the New Living is talking about a stairway. You can't go to heaven. Jesus is the only one that can make a way for us to go to heaven. And when he's talking about those angels ascending and descending, it's going to be on Jesus that's going to be doing this. He's talking about the Son of Man. And listen, when it talks about it, says the idea behind this phrase is not a perfect or the ideal man or even a common man. They're talking about the Son of Man. Instead, it was a reference to Daniel 7, verse 13 and 14, where the King of Glory, who comes to judge the world, was called the Son of Man. And that's when he's telling about that the Son of Man. And this was an eye-opening for Nathanael. And Nathanael, he accepted Jesus Christ on sight. Soon as Jesus said, I saw you. Now, like I said, Nathanael wasn't on no trip with Jesus. He wasn't following Jesus because remember, he didn't care. If that man was from Nazareth, I don't want to hear nothing he had to say. And people do the same thing today. They'll say, well, he didn't go to Harvard. He went to Texas Southern, or he went to Grambling, or he didn't go to MIT, and people will judge you on that. Just because I went to the University of Houston, that don't make me less a person than a person that went to Harvard. No, we have a choice to where we want to obtain our education. But the status of our education does not make us better than someone else. And look, and when Jesus chose these first few disciples, they were just common, everyday men. They weren't stupid. They just weren't where people thought he would go to get his followers would all be dignified people. No, we need some people with some common sense. And a lot of times, people with a lot of education don't have common sense. And when Jesus called them, they went right on with him. And this I want to show. John shows us 4 ways to come to Jesus when we choose to come to Jesus. Listen at this. And the first one, Andrew came to Jesus because of the preaching of John the Baptist. Okay, he had heard John the Baptist. He had never seen Jesus, but he believed what John the Baptist said. And when he saw Jesus, Andrew joined with him. Peter came to Jesus because of the witness of his brother. Philip came to Jesus as a result of a direct call of Jesus. Jesus called Peter out. Philip just called him by his name and he came. Listen, and Nathanael came to Jesus as he overcame a personal prejudice by a personal encounter with Jesus. And that's what he's telling us all along. Look at how they came to Jesus. Jesus didn't go running after them. They came to Jesus by the words that Jesus spoke, his teaching, and they didn't follow because it was just a big crowd. The big crowd was following because they knew they was going to get something out of the following. But these men that picked up, left their jobs, left their homes, and followed Jesus Christ, that was a personal choice, and they chose to follow Jesus. Now, everybody that followed him, some were well educated. Look, think about Luke. Luke was a physician, and a lot of these other were fishermen or tent makers, but they gave that up and they went on. Jesus didn't go seeking them out as he was walking and teaching. He saw them and he told them, "Come, follow me." So now, have you received a call that says, "Come and follow me"? Because Jesus sees all of us. He knows us all. So as I'll end our lesson, let us beware of when we receive the call, when Jesus tells us to come. And when he tells us to come, he's letting us know, those of us that are here and left on this time, to give up our wrongful doings, give up our evil ways and our crooked ways of life and follow him. And uh, as I say this with all honesty, once you study God's words and you become and you pray and you meditate and you dig deeper and study more, it changes your life. It's your studying is to change your life and then share it with others, just like Andrew, Philip, and Simon, Peter, and all the others, and how they went and they told their friends. Now, a lot of times your friends won't accept it because they're going to say, I remember just the other week what she was doing. No, I don't believe her. Keep on telling. That's your job. And have your life ready and ready for the coming of the Lord, because Jesus is coming back, y'all. And we're going to see just how great heaven and glory is going to be. We won't be judged because the color of our sin. I think it was skin. Martin Luther King said that he hoped that one day that his four little children wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that's our lesson. And my prayer is that you share this lesson and you enjoy it, and it benefits you, and then you could use it to benefit others. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And hit the little thumbs up button, because that'll let YouTube know that this platform is worthy enough to that they could send it out further to others. So until the next time, may God bless you richly, and I'll see you on the next occasion.